The wedding march began in the hall, and my heart pounded like a drum. Each note echoed in my chest, as if counting down the seconds before disaster. I watched my son, radiant in his suit, completely oblivious to the storm I had just witnessed. He smiled at his friends, laughed at a joke I couldn't hear, and I felt a pang of anger and fear at the same time. How could someone do this to him? How could anyone be so cruel? I followed, keeping my distance, as the daughter-in-law-to-be glided gracefully down the aisle. She held her bouquet with delicate fingers, her expression serene, almost angelic, and yet I remembered those words. Sharp, poisonous words that threatened to shatter my son's happiness. I'll divorce him right after. Her perfect composure made my blood boil. How could someone smile like that while planning to destroy the person who trusted them most? I wanted to rush forward, pull her aside, demand answers. But I also knew any misstep could cause chaos in front of all the guests. The officiant began speaking, the hall quieting. My pulse quickened, each word of the ceremony piercing like glass. I glanced at her again. Her gaze met my son's, warm and loving, and my stomach twisted. He believed her, completely. My son, who had always been careful with his heart, had given it fully to this woman. And I knew, from that one confession, that she did not intend to honor it. I shifted slightly, trying to think. What could I do? Stop the ceremony? Reveal the truth to everyone? Or risk everything by letting it continue? Hoping that somehow my son's instincts would save him, the clock ticked mercilessly. Each passing second brought the vows closer, and with them, the irrevocable step toward betrayal. Then I noticed a subtle change in her demeanor. She glanced toward me, not openly, but a flicker in her eyes. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet my instincts screamed that she had sensed my presence, or at least my awareness of her plan. My throat went dry. If she knew I had overheard, she could act differently now. She could manipulate, deceive, or accelerate her plan. The ceremony moved forward. The officiant asked the usual questions. Do you take this person to be your lawfully wedded spouse? And the responses followed. My son's voice was steady, clear, full of hope. I forced myself to listen, trying to block out the suffocating panic rising inside me. When it was her turn, she repeated the words effortlessly. I do. I felt a cold weight in my chest. I do. But those words rang hollow in my mind, twisted by the truth I knew. I'll divorce him right after. My hands shook as I gripped the edge of a nearby seat. The guests were oblivious, smiling, taking pictures, celebrating. How could they not see what I saw? How could they not feel the tension radiating from this woman? I needed to act, and yet I didn't know how. Every option seemed to carry danger. Speak now, and the wedding might collapse into a scene of shame and anger. Say nothing, and my son would be blindsided, heartbroken, betrayed by the person he trusted most. My eyes met hers again. That flicker, the slightest crack in her armor, was all I had. I had to use it. I took a slow, deep breath, steadying my voice, preparing to intervene. Before we continue, I whispered, almost inaudibly to myself, I need the truth. And then, a sudden sound, an accidental drop of a ring box by one of the guests, caused a commotion. All eyes turned momentarily. It was a small distraction, but it bought me a few precious seconds. I moved closer, still careful not to alert anyone directly, positioning myself so that she could feel my presence without realizing I was there to confront her. I had to decide how far I was willing to go. My mind raced. Confront her quietly, even at the risk of drawing attention, or wait until after the ceremony. But waiting could mean losing control. I leaned closer, my heart hammering. Tell me the truth, I whispered under my breath, so softly that no one else could hear. She didn't answer. Instead, her smile tightened ever so slightly, and she adjusted her bouquet. That subtle movement sent a shiver down my spine. She knew something. Or perhaps she was playing a game that only she understood. The ceremony continued. My son recited his vows with unwavering devotion, completely trusting her. Every word cut into me like a knife, because I knew the betrayal that was about to unfold. I clenched my fists, trying to keep my composure, feeling helpless yet determined. The moment of the rings approached. I could see her hands trembling slightly. Was it nerves? Or was it the burden of the secret she carried? My heart raced. I wanted to reach out, to grab her hand, to stop the ritual, but I didn't. I had to be strategic. I had to protect my son without causing an immediate scandal. As the rings were exchanged, I noticed something I hadn't before. A subtle glance she gave a relative in the front row. There was communication there, secret, almost imperceptible, and my stomach twisted. She wasn't acting alone in this deception. Someone else might be involved. Someone who wanted to manipulate the wedding for reasons I couldn't yet understand. My mind reeled. Was this about money, revenge, pride, or simply cruelty? And then the officiant asked the final question. You may now kiss the bride. I felt the world narrow to a pinpoint. Every eye was on them, every guest waiting. My son smiling, unaware of the truth, and her smiling back at him. A smile I now understood could be a mask hiding something darker. I realized in that moment that I couldn't stay silent any longer. I had to act. I couldn't undo the words she had spoken to me privately, but I could influence what happened next. I took a step forward, heart hammering, ready to intervene, and just as I opened my mouth to speak, the unexpected happened. A sudden shout came from the back of the hall. Someone tripped over a chair, a loud crash echoing through the room. All eyes turned, chaos erupting for a brief instant. It was enough to shift the attention away from the couple and give me a chance. I leaned closer, whispering in her ear, low enough that only she could hear. I know what you said. This ends now. Her eyes widened. That flicker of panic I had glimpsed earlier returned, and for a fraction of a second, she was unmasked. And in that fraction, I knew the battle had just begun. The battle had just begun.